Twabble, ladies, with Twabble, Shayla, Trina, YouTube, top of the day, that's Twabble, that's Twabble. Okay, I got my stuff together here. Okay. Auntie, good morning. Get my stuff together here, y'all. My prep time. Ooh. All right, beautiful people. This is my few minutes of prep time here. Make sure all the pages and stuff is straight so we can start at 7:15. Oh, it's too far. How everybody sleep? There we go. That's bedtime. I think should adjust this just a little bit more. Okay. There we go. What time we at? 7:14. Got a minute. All right, beautiful people. I'm all set, ready to go here. So, 7:15, right on the dot. All right, top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. It is Tuesday, February the 9th, 2021. Day 73 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3 years consecutive day counts. Day 742. And remember, that's without the Sabbath and the Sabbath feast days added in. Why? Because we rest those days. They're counted within a year, but they're not counted within the count time of the actual reading of the days. Yes, ma'am, for the promptness. Yes, right? All right, y'all, so let's get started here with the Shema. Here, listen, pay attention, y'all. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily as Yahuwah, the God of our forefathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children. And you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our God, as He has commanded us. All right, beautiful people. Real quick before we get started, make sure you're taking care of yourselves so you don't get the vid, y'all. Listen, stock up on them fruits and veggies, especially citrus fruits. Like, you should really like go on a fast of just citrus fruits. If you feel a little something coming on, you know, if you feeling like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on with my body? Citrus fruits will always, if it's in regard to like the immune system, right? Citrus fruits will always be your best friend and fastest helper to the rescue. Citrus fruits. Kiwi, oranges, grapefruit, red grapefruit, anything citrusy, right? Lemons, limes. Put lemon and lime in your water. Flush your body out. Wash them toxins out. Want to make sure, first of all, you're keeping the commands of the Most Holy. That way, He keep everything away from us. If we keep it, we gotta watch what we're feeding our bodies as well, y'all. So we gotta work the plan so the plan can work us, right? So we give the body life and make it a habit of feeding our body life, spiritually as well as physically, and our body will get on the program of life, right? And to keep our bodies in good health. Like, seriously, most diseases that happen with the body, I say probably about 90% of the things that happen to the body, it comes from what we eat, right? High blood pressure, diabetes, cancer most of the time. Not all cancers, some cancers. The majority of the cancers do, right? Everything else happens outside of the body, whether it's trauma or some kind of accident that happens outside the body that affects the body. But 90% of those diseases can be reversed if we catch them in time, So when you feed the body life, the body will thrive. The body thrives on a plant-based diet. There is this myth going around that, you're not going to get enough protein. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, because you don't realize that the green kingdom, the plant kingdom, is rich in proteins, and not more than what we need, because people with melanin, it's not proteins that we need necessarily. It's amino acids that we need, right? And you get that there's an abundance of that in the plant kingdom. A lot of studies been done. If you ever watch Year3, he does a great study on that and the difference on how melanated bodies thrive and non-melanated bodies thrive, right? Okay, so take care of yourself, people. Be good to yourself and make sure you're getting enough sleep, right? Okay. All right. Numbers chapter 22. Shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. So let's get started. Then the people of Israel traveled to the plains of Moab and camped east of the Jordan River across from Jericho. Balak, the son of Zippor, the Moabite king, had seen everything the Israelites did to the Amorites. And when the people of Moab saw how many Israelites there were, they were terrified. The king of Moab said to the elders of Midian, "This mob will devour everything in sight, like an ox devours field in the grass." Look at that. An ox, you know how big and strong an ox is? Does an ox eat meat? No, an ox eats grass and drink water. But one of the strongest animals thrives on plants, right? Think about it. So Balak, king of Moab, sent messengers to call Balaam, son of Beor, who was living in his native land of Pethor near the Euphrates River. His message said, "Look, a vast horde of people has arrived from Egypt. They cover the face of the earth and are threatening me. Please come and curse these people for me, because they are too powerful for me. Then perhaps I will be able to conquer them and drive them from the land. I know that blessings fall on any people you bless, and curses fall on people you curse." Balak's messengers, who were the elders of Moab and Midian, set out with money to pay Balaam to place a curse upon Israel. They went to Balaam and delivered Balak's message to him. "Stay here overnight," Balaam said. "In the morning, I will tell you whatever Yahuwah directs me to say." So the officials from Moab stayed there with Balaam. That night, Yahuwah came to Balaam and asked him, "Who are these men visiting you?" Like y'all didn't already know, right? That night, Yahuwah came to Balaam and asked him, "Who are these men visiting you?" Balaam said to Yahuwah, "Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me this message. Look, a vast horde of people has arrived from Egypt, and they cover the face of the earth. Come and curse these people for me. Then perhaps I will be able to stand up to them and drive them from the land." But Yahuwah told Balaam, "Do not go with them. You are not to curse these people, for they have been blessed." Shalom, shalom. The next morning, Balaam got up and told Balak's officials, "Go on home. Yahuwah will not let me go with you." So the Moabite officials returned to King Balak and reported, Balaam refused to come with us. Then Balak tried again. This time he sent a larger number of even more distinguished officials than those he had sent the first time. They went to Balaam and delivered to him this message. This is what Balak, son of Zippor, says. Please don't let anything stop you from coming to me. I will pay you very well and do whatever you tell me. Just come and curse these people for me. But Balaam responded to Balak's message. Even if Balak were to give me his palace filled with gold and silver, I would be powerless to do anything against the will of my God. But stay here one more night, and I will see if Yahuwah has anything else to say to me. That night, Yahuwah came to Balaam and told him, since these men have come for you, get up and go with them, but do what only I tell you to do. So the next morning, hold on, listen. First of all, good morrow. Listen, first of all, Yahuwah just said no yesterday, my G. He doesn't change his mind that fast, right? So what has happened? Now you are being tempted and bribed, and your heart has changed overnight, Balaam, right? He said, but let me go check one more time to see if he got anything else to say to you. Yeah, we knew at that point it's about to be a problem. Listen, because we see this happen again with King Ahaz, right? Oh, now you being bribed, or you're not believing what Yahuwah has said. The first time you're gonna go back again. Oh well, stay here one more night. Let me just check and see if you got anything else to say to you. You was in trouble already. You should have repeated that same message. You ain't need to go back to the Most Holy. Listen. That night, Yahuwah came to Balaam and told him, since these men have come for you, get up and go with them, but do only what I tell you. I'm telling you. Yahuwah, that was something rhetorical. I would have been like, but you told me. And see, if he had been thinking about that, he would have never went to Yahuwah the second time, right? So listen. So the next morning, Balaam got up, saddled his donkey, and started off with the Moabite officials. But Yahuwah was angry that Balaam was going, right? See? He said, but you just told him to go. No, he told him not to go. But when they offered him money and great wealth and gifts, he decided to go back and double check to see if he had changed his mind, right? He had an evil eye towards them riches, right? That's why it's good that Yahuwah's men and women have their own wealth, and they can't be bribed by those who need them to come speak a word to them. That's how most of our people get in trouble, right? This is where a lot of people get in. Let's just put it, a lot of people get in trouble with bribery and stuff, right? Listen. So the next morning, Balaam got up, saddled his donkey, and started off with the Moabite officials. But Yahuwah was angry that Balaam was going, so he sent the angel of Yahuwah to stand in the road to block his way. As Balaam and two servants were riding along, Balaam's donkey saw the angel of Yahuwah standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. The donkey bolted off the road into a field, but Balaam beat it and turned it back to the road. Then the angel of Yahuwah stood at a place where the road narrowed between two vineyard walls. When the donkey saw the angel of Yahuwah, it tried to squeeze by and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall. So Balaam beat the donkey again. Then the angel of Yahuwah moved further down the road and stood in a place too narrow for the donkey to get by at all. This time, when the donkey saw the angel, it lay down under Balaam. In a fit of rage, Balaam beat the animal again with his staff. Then Yahuwah gave the donkey the ability to speak. What have I done to you that deserves your beating me 3 times? It asked Balaam. You have made me look like a fool, Balaam shouted. If I had a sword with me, I would kill you. But I am the same donkey you have ridden all your life, the donkey answered. Have I ever done anything like this before? No, Balaam admitted. Then Yahuwah opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of Yahuwah standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. Balaam bowed his head and fell face down on the ground before him. Why did you beat your donkey those 3 times? The angel of Yahuwah demanded. Look, I have come to block your way because you are stubbornly resisting me. 3 times the donkey saw me and shied away. Otherwise, I would certainly have killed you by now and spared the donkey. Then Balaam confessed to the angel of Yahuwah, I have sinned. I didn't realize you were standing in the road to block my way. I will return home if you are against my going. Like, if, dude, I was about to kill you like 3 times. If you should have like turned around. Like, you see how he's still thinking about them riches. Shoot, the king, Balak is one of the richest kings right now. Let me just, because you got to remember, Balaam did a lot of magic and divination as well, right? Pay attention. Hold on. Okay, I go to 34. Then Balaam confessed to the angel of Yahuwah, I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to block my way. I will return home if you are against my going. But the angel of Yahuwah told Balaam, go with these men, but say only what I tell you to say. So Balaam went on with Balak's officials. When King Balak heard that Balaam was on the way, he went out to meet him at a Moabite town on the Arnon River at the farthest border of his land. Didn't I send you an urgent invitation? Why didn't you come right away? Balak asked Balaam. Didn't you believe me when I said I would reward you richly? Balaam replied, look, now I have come, but I have no power to say what I want. I will speak only the message that Yahuwah puts in my mouth. Then Balaam accompanied Balak to Kiriath Huzoth, where the king had sacrificed cattle and sheep. He sent portions of the meat to Balaam and the officials who were with him. The next morning, Balak took Balaam up to Bamoth Baal. From there, he could see some of the people of Israel spread out below him. Next chapter, Numbers chapter 23. Then Balaam said to King Balak, build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 young bulls and 7 rams for me to sacrifice. Balak followed his instructions, and the 2 of them sacrificed a young bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, stand here by your burnt offerings, and I will go to see if Yahuwah will respond to me. Then I will tell you whatever he reveals to me. So Balaam went alone to the top of a bare hill, and Yahuwah met him there. Balaam said to him, I have prepared 7 altars and have sacrificed a young bull and a ram on each altar. Yahuwah gave Balaam a message for King Balak. Then he said, Go back to Balak and give him my message. So Balaam returned and found the king standing beside his burnt offerings with all the officials of Moab. This was the message Balaam delivered. Balak summoned me to come from Aram. The king of Moab brought me from the eastern hills. Come, he said, and curse Jacob for me. Come and announce Israel's doom. But how can I curse those whom Yahuwah has not cursed? How can I condemn those whom Yahuwah has not condemned? If I see them from the cliff tops, I see them from the cliff tops. I watch them from the hills. I see a people who live by themselves, set apart from other nations. Who can count Jacob's descendants as numerous as dust? Who can count even a fourth of Israel's people? Let me die like the righteous. Let my life end like theirs. Then King Balak demanded of Balaam, what have you done to me? I brought you here to curse my enemies. Instead, you blessed them? But Balaam responded, I speak only the message that Yahuwah puts in my mouth. Then King Balak told him, come with me to another place. There you will see another part of the nation of Israel, but not all of them. Curse at least that many. So Balak took Balaam to the plateau of Zophim on Pisgah Peak. He built 7 altars there and offered a young bull and a ram on each altar. Then Balaam said to the king, stand here by your burnt offerings while I go over there to meet Yahuwah. And Yahuwah met Balaam and gave him a message. Then he said, go back to Balaam and give him my message. So Balaam returned and found the king standing by his burnt offerings with all the officials of Moab. What did Yahuwah say? Balak asked eagerly. This was the message Balaam delivered. Rise up, Balak, and listen. Hear me, son of Ziphor. Yahuwah is not a man, so he does not lie. He is not human, so he does not change his mind. I'm going to read this again. Hear me, son of Ziphor. Yahuwah is not a man, so he does not lie. He is not human, so he does not change his mind. One more time for those in the back that just didn't hear me too clearly. Rise up, Balak, and listen. Hear me, son of Ziphor. Yahuwah is not a man, so he does not lie. He is not human, so he does not change his mind. Has he ever spoken and failed to act? Has he ever promised and not carried it through? Listen, I received a command to bless. Yahuwah has blessed, and I cannot reverse it. No misfortune is in his plan for Jacob. No trouble is in store for Israel. For Yahuwah, their God, is with them. He has been proclaimed their king. Yahuwah brought them out of Egypt. For them, he is as strong as a wild ox. No curse can touch Jacob. No magic has any power against Israel. For now it would be said of Jacob, what wonders Yahuwah has done for Israel. These people rise up like a lioness, like a majestic lion rousing itself. They refuse to rest until they have feasted on prey, drinking the blood of the slaughter. Then Balak said to Balaam, fine, but if you won't curse them, at least don't bless them. But Balaam replied to Balak, didn't I tell you that I can do only what Yahuwah tells me? Then King Balak said to Balaam, come, I will take you to one more place. Like, bro, you're not getting it, right? Y'all, listen. Then King Balak said to Balaam, come, I will take you to one more place. Perhaps it will please Yahuwah to let you curse them from there. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Mount Peor, overlooking the wasteland. Balaam again told Balak, build me 7 altars and prepare 7 young bulls and 7 rams for me to sacrifice. So Balak did as Balaam ordered and offered a young bull and a ram on each altar. Last chapter for today, y'all. Numbers chapter 24. By now, Balaam realized that Yahuwah was determined to bless Israel, so he did not resort to divination as before. Instead, he returned and looked out towards the wilderness, where he saw the people of Israel camped, tribe by tribe. Then the Spirit of Yahuwah came upon him, and this is the message he delivered. This is the message of Balaam, son of Beor, the message of the man whose eyes see clearly, the message of one who hears the words of Yahuwah, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with eyes wide open. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob! How lovely are your homes, O Israel! They spread before me like palm groves, like gardens by the riverside. They are like tall trees planted by Yahuwah, like cedars beside the waters. Water will flow from their buckets. Their offspring have all they need. Their king will be greater than Agag. Their kingdom will be exalted. Yahuwah brought them out of Egypt. For them he is as strong as a wild ox. He devours all the nations that oppose him, breaking their bones in pieces, shooting them with arrows. Like a lion, Israel crouches and lies down. Like a lioness, who dares to rouse her? Blessed is everyone who blesses you, O Israel, and cursed is everyone who curses you. King Balak flew into a rage against Balaam. He angrily clapped his hands and shouted, I called you to curse my enemies. Instead, you have blessed them 3 times. Now get out of here. Go back home. I promised to reward you richly, but Yahuwah has kept you from your reward. Balaam told Balak, don't you remember what I told your messengers? I said, even if Balak were to give me his palace filled with gold and silver, I would be powerless to do anything against the will of Yahuwah. I told you that I could only say what Yahuwah says. Now I am returning to my own people. But first, let me tell you what the Israelites will do to your people in the future. This is the message Balaam delivered. This is the message of Balaam, son of Beor, the message of the man whose eyes see clearly, the message of one who hears the words of Yahuwah, who has knowledge from the Most High, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who bows down with eyes wide open. I see him, but not here and now. I perceive him, but far in the distant future. A star will rise from Jacob. A scepter will emerge from Israel. It will crush the heads of Moab's people, cracking the skulls of the people of Sheph. Edom will be taken over, and Seir, its enemy, will be conquered. While Israel marches on in triumph, a ruler will rise in Jacob who will destroy the survivors of Ur. Then Balaam looked over toward the people of Amalek and delivered this message. Amalek was the greatest of nations, but its destiny is destruction. Then he looked over toward the Kenites and delivered this message. Your home is secure, your nest is set in the rocks, but the Kenites will be destroyed when Assyria takes you captive. Balaam concluded his message by saying, Alas, who can survive unless Yahuwah has willed it? Ships will come from the coast of Cyprus, but they will oppress Assyria and afflict Eber, but they too will be utterly destroyed. Then Balaam left and returned home, and Balaam also went on his way. I bet this day he had thoroughly regretted bringing Balaam to his place. Man, I brought you to curse them. You left cursing me and all my people and the future generations. And we know Edom ain't been destroyed yet. So who he talking about? Who is Balaam talking about? It would seem to be that it might be our generation, and the generation of our children, and the generation of our children's children, because it seemed like we're just now waking up to realize that, wait a minute, this is what y'all been talking about all this time. Wait a minute, this is talking about us? Oh, snap. Right? Whew. Boy, I get more excited as the days pass by. All right, y'all. Let's hop on over here to the Legends of the Jews. We are in volume 3. Chapter... What chapter is this? Chapter 3? Yeah, volume 3, chapter 3. And the subheading is the completion of... Oh, no. Nope, I jumped too far. The stone... Wait, did we read the stones in the breastplate? No, we didn't. We stopped here. Okay. The Stones in the Breastplate, page 294. All right, y'all. The 12 stones were different not only in color, but also in certain qualities peculiar to each. And both quality and color had a special reference to the tribe whose name it bore. Reuben's stone was the ruby that has the property, when grated by a woman and tasted by her, of promoting pregnancy, for it was Reuben who found the mandrakes which induced pregnancy. Simeon's stone was the smaragd. It has the property of breaking as soon as an unchaste woman looks at it, a fitting stone for the tribe whose sire Simon was kindled to wrath by the unchaste actions of Shechem. It was at the same time a warning to the tribe of Simeon that committed whoredom at Shittim with the daughters of Moab, to be mindful of chastity like its stone, to suffer no prostitution. Levi's stone was the carbuncle that beams like lightning, as likewise the faces of that tribe beam with piety and erudition. This stone has the virtue of making him who wears it wise. But true wisdom is the fear of Yahuwah, and it was this tribe alone that did not join in the worship of the golden calf. Judah's stone was the green emerald that has the power of making its owner victorious in battle, a fitting stone for this tribe, from which springs the Hebrew dynasty of kings that routed its enemies. The color green alludes to the shame that turned Judah's countenance green when he publicly confessed his crime with Tamar. So if y'all don't realize what we're talking about the stones inside the breastplate of the priest. I wish I had something here to show you that. If I probably could, well, I could have printed something, but I like using like real props, right? Okay. Issachar's stone was the sapphire, for this tribe devoted themselves completely to the study of the Torah, And it is this very stone, the sapphire, out of which the 2 tables of the law were hewn. This stone increases strength of vision and heals many diseases, as the Torah, likewise, to which the tribe was so devoted, enlightens the eye and makes the body well. The white pearl is the stone of Zebulun, for with his merchant ships he sailed the sea and drew his sustenance from the ocean, from which the pearl too is drawn. The pearl has also the quality of bringing its owner sleep, for it is all the more to the credit of this tribe that they nevertheless spent their nights on commercial ventures to maintain their brother tribe, Issachar, that live only for the study of Torah. Oh, that's so sweet. Man, you study the Torah, we got you, bro. You just let us know what the Most Holy is saying. We'll get out here and we'll work for you. That's what it said. Listen. The white pearl is the stone of Zebulun, for with his merchant ships he sailed the sea and drew his sustenance from the ocean, from which the pearl too is drawn. The pearl has also the quality of bringing its owner sleep, and it is all the more to the credit of this tribe that they nevertheless spent their nights on the commercial ventures to maintain their brother tribe, Issachar, that lived only for the study of the Torah. The pearl is furthermore round like the fortune of the rich, that turns like a wheel, and in this way the wealthy tribe of Zebulun were kept in mind of the fickleness of fortune. Dan's stone was a species of topaz, in which was visible the inverted face of a man, for the Danites were sinful, turning good to evil, hence the inverted face in their stone. The turquoise was Naphtali's stone, for it gives its owner speed in riding, and Naphtali was a hind let loose. And we know Naphtali, he real swift. Wonder how this relates to our birthstone. Good question, Dana. Good question. The turquoise was Naphtali's stone, for it gives its owner speed in riding, and Naphtali was a hind let loose. Gad's stone was the crystal that endows its owner with courage in battle, and hence served this warlike tribe that battled for Yahuwah as an admonition to fear none and build on Yahuwah. The chrysolite was Asher's stone, and as this stone aids digestion and makes its owner sturdy and fat, so were the agricultural products of Asher's tribe of such excellent quality that they made fat those who ate them. Joseph's stone was the onyx, that has the virtue of endowing him who wears it with grace, and truly, by his grace, did Joseph find favor in the eyes of all. Jasper was Benjamin's stone, and as this stone turns color, now being red, now green, now even black, so did Benjamin's feelings vary to his brothers. Sometimes he was angry with them for having sold into slavery Joseph, the only brother, by his mother Rachel, and in his mood he came near betraying their deed to their father. But that he might not disgrace his brothers, he did not divulge their secret. To this discretion on his part alludes the Hebrew name of his stone, Yashpeh, which signifies there is a mouth. For Benjamin, though he had a mouth, did not utter the words that would have covered his brothers with disgrace. The 12 stones in the breastplate with their bright colors were of great importance in the oracular sentences of the high priest, who by means of these stones made the Urim and the Thummim exercise their functions. So the Urim and the Thummim, which were 2 stones that the priest wore in like this pocket in behind the breastplate, right? They were like 2 stones, and they always carried them inside the breastplate, behind the breastplate, inside this pocket. And we also know that Enoch, if you read the book of remembrance, Enoch also had a Urim and a Thummim. It was actually Enoch who created the first Urim and the Thummim, as we read about if you have the book of remembrance. It goes into great detail on how it was made and how Yahuwah teach him to use them, right? Okay, but we may get into the Urim and the Thummim in the days to come, right? The 12 stones in the breastplate with their bright colors were of great importance in the oracular sentences of the high priest, who by means of these stones made the Urim and the Thummim exercise their functions. For whenever the king or the head of the Sanhedrin wished to get their directions from the Urim and the Thummim, he betook himself to the high priest. The latter, robed in his breastplate and ephod, bade him to look into his face and submit his inquiry. The high priest, looking down on his breastplate, then looked to see which of the letters engraved on the stones shone out the most brightly. Then he constructed the answer out of these letters. Thus, for example, when David inquired of the Urim and the Thummim if Saul would pursue him, the high priest Abiathar beheld gleaming forth the letter Yod in Judah's name, Resh in Reuben's name, and Dalet in Dan's name, and hence the answer reads as follows: Yared, he will pursue. The information of this oracle was always trustworthy, for the meaning of the name Urim and Thummim is in the fact that these answers spread light and truth. But not every high priest succeeded in obtaining them. Only a high priest who was permeated with the Holy Spirit and over whom rested the Shekinah might obtain an answer. For in other cases, the stones withheld their power. But if the high priest was worthy, he received an answer to every inquiry. For on these stones were engraved all the letters of the alphabet, so that all conceivable words could be constructed from them. All right, so let's go to the next section, the completion of the tabernacle. On the 11th day of Tishri, Moses ascended the people and informed them that it was Yahuwah's wish to have a sanctuary among them, and each man was bidden to bring to the sanctuary any offerings he pleased. At the same time, he impressed upon them that however pious a deed participation in the construction of the tabernacle might be, still they might under no circumstance break the Sabbath to hasten the building of the sanctuary. Rest on those days. Let me tell you something. Sometimes it's hard, especially when you're working or you got your own business and you in a good flow of working and something happens to fall, like, oh, I can finish this up. Like, those days come where you are tempted and it's like, oh, no, stop and rest. Like, seriously, it would behoove us to start heeding that now. And what I noticed now, I was telling my mama the other day, it seems like now my body, like, I want to say it kind of knows that the Sabbath is coming. Because, like, the 6th day or, like, the day before I start, it's like my body, I ain't going to say it starts shutting down, but it feel like, it's like, yes, we here. Come on, sis, go right to the bed. And I started noticing that, and my mind want to keep going. I was like, wait, why did I get so tired all of a sudden? You know, and so I'm walking, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, I still got a few hours. Because I be trying to get stuff done. Like, I be moving non-stop. But it's like, I don't know, it's like my body is like, go ahead and start, shut it down. Just make you some notes to pick it up after the Sabbath. Like, I'm serious, I'm not sure if y'all have felt that or your bodies have started doing that, those who have been observing the Sabbath for a while. But I don't know. It's like my body knows, like, okay, yes, the Sabbath is tomorrow. We're going to rest, kick our feet up. Like, yeah, but it would behoove us really to keep that, right? Listen. At the same time, he impressed upon them that however pious a deed participation in the construction of the tabernacle might be, still, they might under no circumstances break the Sabbath to hasten the building of the sanctuary. Moses thereupon expounded to them the kind of work that was permissible on the Sabbath, and the king that was prohibited. For there were not less than 39 occupations, the pursuit of which on the Sabbath was punishable by death. Owing to the importance of keeping the Sabbath, Moses imparted the precepts concerning it directly to the great masses of the people that he had gathered together, and not the elders alone. In this he acted according to Yahuwah's command, who said to him, Go, Moses, call together great assemblages and announce the Sabbath laws to them, that the further generations may follow thy example. And on the Sabbath days assemble the people in the synagogues and instruct them in the Torah, that they might know what is prohibited and what is permitted, that my name may be glorified among my children. In the spirit of this command, Moses did institute that on every holy day, there might be preaching in the synagogues. Okay, let's go back. Okay. In the spirit of this command, did Moses institute that on every holy day there might be preaching in the synagogues and instruction concerning the significance of the special holy day. He summoned the people to these teachings with the words, If you will follow my example, Yahuwah will count it for you as if you had acknowledged Yahuwah as your king throughout the world. The stress laid on the observance of the Sabbath laws was quite necessary, for the people were so eager to deliver up their contributions that on the Sabbath, Moses had to have an announcement proclaimed that they were to take nothing out of their houses, as the carrying of things on the Sabbath is prohibited. For Israel is a peculiar people that answered the summons to fetch gold for the golden calf, and with no less zeal answered the summons of Moses to give the contributions for the tabernacle. They were not content to bring things out of their houses and treasuries, but forcibly snatched ornaments from their wives and their daughters and their sons and brought them to Moses for the construction of the tabernacle. Listen. Because remember, when they was building the golden calf, they was like, the wives like, no, you ain't taking our gold, neither you taking it from our kids. So the men took their own gold. Now that they had been chastised, they said, listen, we building this for the most holy, we ain't gonna ask y'all, we just gonna take it, because this is what we should have been giving our gold and stuff to in the first place. But instead, we was doing it wrong. So now we ain't gonna ask y'all, we're gonna take y'all stuff, because this is going to build the temple of the most holy, right? They were not content to bring things out of their own houses and treasuries, but forcibly snatched ornaments from their wives, their daughters, and their sons, and brought them to Moses for the construction of the tabernacle. In this way, they thought they could cancel their sin for having fashioned the golden calf. Then they had used their ornaments in the construction of the idol, and now they employed them for the sanctuary of Yahuwah. The women, however, were no less eager to contribute their mite, and were especially active in producing the woolen hangings. They did this in no miraculous way. Hold on, I read that wrong. They did this in no miraculous a way that they spun the wool while it was still upon the goats. Moses did not at first want to accept contributions from the women, but these brought their cloaks and their mirrors, saying, Why dost thou reject our gifts? If thou dost so because thou wantest the sanctuary, if thou doest so because thou wantest in the sanctuary nothing that women use to enhance their charms, behold, here are our cloaks that we may use to conceal ourselves from the eyes of men. But if thou art afraid to accept from us anything that might not be our property, but our husbands, behold, here are our mirrors that belong to us alone, and not to our husbands. When Moses beheld the mirrors, he waxed very angry and bade the women to be driven from him, exclaiming, What right in the sanctuary have these mirrors that exist only to arouse sensual desires? Ooh. Listen, it made me think about something. And I forgot the name of it. Y'all ever seen, and I can't even think of the names of all the factions, but have y'all ever seen the movie or read the book Divergent, and it has the different factions up there? There was like the Divergent, then you had I can't even think of the names, but anyway, there was the one that wore like drab colors and stuff, right? They wore like the grays and like the colors. They didn't put on makeup. they didn't even look in mirrors, right? But at the beginning, we saw that one of the girls who we would know to become as the lead character, the lead divergent character, her mom on her, I think, whatever birthday it was, maybe her 18th birthday, but she said, I'm going to give you one opportunity to look at yourself in the mirror, and you're only going to get a few seconds, so look real good, we're going to close it up, right? Because they didn't want to be guilty of, like, being conceited, and, you know, they wanted to do all their works out of, like, pure hearts and help other people, devote themselves to the service of other people. So that's why they just wore, like, they look like pilgrims all the time, right? You know, but it was with the thought that we're going to put our flesh to death, and we're going to serve humankind, so much so that we're not even going to look upon our beauty. I mean, they kept themselves clean and, you know, combed their hair and pulled it back, but they didn't put on makeup or anything like that, right? It reminded me, when he said this about the mirrors, it reminded me of that, right? But you got to think about it. Mirrors sometimes can get us in trouble, right? I ain't saying don't look in the mirror, because you need to check yourself when you're going out the house and make sure you're straight, you know, but the mirror can also be a good help if you got on something just a little bit too tight. You might want to go back upstairs and change, right? They can be a blessing and a curse at the same time. They can help you keep yourself together, be presentable before we go out the house, especially if you live alone, you know. But if you got somebody else there, still, sometimes they may miss something. Oh, why didn't you tell me I had like a piece of lint right here, a piece of lint in my hair, something like that, or I had broccoli in my teeth or something, you know, because sometimes adults aren't always honest with you, they want to tell you your breath stink, but children are honest. It's good to be around children. You learn a lot from a child. You really can, right? Especially innocence. Okay. When Moses beheld the mirrors, he waxed very angry and bade the women to be driven from him, exclaiming, what right in the sanctuary have these mirrors that exist only to arouse sensual desires? But Yahuwah said to Moses, truly dearer to me than all the other gifts are these mirrors, for it was these mirrors that yielded me my host. Hold on, let me go back. I'm going to read that again myself. Okay. What right in the sanctuary have these mirrors that exist only to arouse sensual desires? But Yahuwah said to Moses, truly dearer to me than all other gifts are these mirrors, for it was these mirrors that yielded me my host. When in Egypt the men were exhausted from their heavy labors, the women were wont to come to them with food and drink, take out their mirrors, and caressingly say to their husbands, look into the mirror, I am much more beautiful than thou. And in this way passion seized the men, so that they forgot their cares and united themselves with their wives, who thereupon brought many children into the world. Take now these mirrors and fashion them out of the laver that contains the water for the sanctifying of the priest. Furthermore, out of this laver was fetched the water that a woman suspected of adultery had to drink to prove her innocence. As formerly the mirrors had been used to kindle conjugal affection, so out of them was made a vessel for the water that was to restore broken peace between husband and wife. Wow. Okay. When Moses, upon Yahuwah's command, made known to the people that whosoever was of a willing heart, man or woman, might bring an offering, the zeal of the woman was so great that they thrust away the men and crowded forward with their gifts, so that in 2 days all that was needful for the construction of the tabernacle was in Moses' hands. The princes of the tribes came almost too late with their contributions, and at the last moment they bought their precious stones for the garments of Aaron, that they might not be entirely unrepresented in the sanctuary. But Yahuwah took their delay amiss, and for this reason they later sought to be the first to offer up sacrifices in the sanctuary. After everything had been provided for the construction of the tabernacle, Bezalel set to work with the devotion of his whole soul, and as a reward for this, the Holy Scriptures speak of him only as the constructor of the sanctuary, although many others stood by him in his labor. He began his work by fashioning the boards, then attended to the overlaying of them, and when he had completed these things, he set to work to prepare the curtains, and then completed the ark with the penance cover belonging to it, and finally the table for the showbread and the candlestick. All right, y'all. Where we at? 50 minutes? Okay, I think we got time to read this last section here. Well, not last section, but the last section we're going to read for the day. The setting up of the tabernacle. You're welcome, Joanne. Okay. The work on the tabernacle progressed rapidly, for everything was ready in the month of Kislev, but it was not set up until 3 months later. The people were indeed eager to set up the sanctuary at once and to dedicate it, but Yahuwah bade Moses wait until the first day of the month of Nisan, because it was Isaac's birthday, and Yahuwah wished the joy of dedication to take place on this day of joy. The mockers of Israel, of course, to whom this was not known, made fun of Moses, saying, of course, it is possible that the Shekinah should rest over the work of Amram's sons. In regard to the tabernacle, Moses had to suffer much besides from the fault finders and wicked tongues. If he showed himself upon the street, they called out to one another, see what a well-fed neck. Boy, I tell you, people, see what a well-fed neck, what sturdy legs the son of Amram has, who eats and drinks from our money. The other would say, dost thou believe that one who has construction of the tabernacle in his hands will remain a poor man? Boy, I tell you, Regents always got something to say, don't they? Moses said nothing, but resolved, as soon as the tabernacle should have been completed, to lay an exact account before the people, which he did. Okay, some of y'all might be right. Regents, what is Regents? That's the byword said backwards. Just in case you didn't know. Moses said nothing, but resolved, as soon as the tabernacle should have been completed, to lay an exact account before the people, which he did. But it came to giving his account, but when it came to giving his account, he forgot one item of 775 shekels, which he had expended for hooks upon which to hang the curtains of the tabernacle. Then, as he suddenly raised his eyes, he saw the Shekinah resting on the hooks, and was reminded of his omission of this expenditure. Thereafter, all Israel became convinced that Moses was a faithful and reliable administrator. As the people had bought much more material than was necessary for the tabernacle, Moses erected a second tabernacle outside the camp on the spot where Yahuwah had been accustomed to reveal himself to him. And this tabernacle of revelation was in all details like the original sanctuary in the camp. When everything was ready, the people were very much disappointed that the Shekinah did not rest upon their work, and betook themselves to the wise men who had worked on the erection of the tabernacle, and said to them, why do ye sit thus idle? Set up the tabernacle, that the Shekinah may dwell among us. These now attempted to put up the tabernacle, but did not succeed, for hardly did they believe it was set up. For hardly did they believe it was set up when it fell down again. Now all went to Bezalel and his assistant, or Holiab, saying to them, do ye now set up the tabernacle, you who constructed it, and perhaps then it will stand. But when these two master builders did not succeed in setting up the tabernacle, the people began to find fault and say, see now what the son of Amram has brought upon us. We spent our money and went through a great deal of trouble, all because he assured us that the Holy One, blessed be he, would descend from his place with the angels and dwell among us. Oh yeah, I was going to say something smart. I'm not. I'm going to just keep reading. Hold on. But it made me laugh, the way they talking about this. But now they were they murmuring without, they trying to murmur without murmuring against Yahuwah. Like, look, Moses done tricked us again, right? So he done told us to give up all our silver and gold and stuff to build this temple for the most holy. Blessed be he. You know, and now they can't even stand, right? So they trying to complain without complaining so they don't get in trouble again, right? Listen. But when even these two master builders did not succeed in setting up the tabernacle, the people began to find fault and say, "See now what the son of Amram has brought upon us. We spent our money and went through a great deal of trouble, all because he assured us that the Holy One, blessed be he, would descend from his place with the angels and dwell among us under the hangings of goat's hair. But it all has been in vain." The people now went to Moses, saying, "O our teacher Moses, we have done all that thou hast bidden us to do. We gave all thou did ask of us. Now look upon this completed work, and tell us if we have omitted aught, or have done aught we should have refrained from doing. Examine it with care, and answer us." Moses had to admit that all had been done according to his instructions. "But if it be so," continued the people, "why then cannot the tabernacle stand? Bezalel and Aholiab failed to set it up, and all the wise men as well." This communication sorely grieved Moses, who could not understand why the tabernacle could not be set up. But Yahuwah said to him, "Thou wert sorry to have had no share in the erection of the tabernacle, which the people supplied with material, and on which Bezalel, Aholiab, and the other wise men labored with the work of their hands. For this reason did it not come to pass that none could set up the tabernacle, for I want all Israel to see that it cannot stand if thou dost not set it up." Wow. Moses replied, "O Lord of the world, I do not know how to put it up." But Yahuwah answered, "Go, get busy with its setting up, and while thou art busy at it, it will rise of its own accord." So it came to pass, hardly had Moses put his hand upon the tabernacle when it stood erect, and the rumors among the people that Moses had arbitrarily put up the tabernacle without the command of Yahuwah ceased forevermore. We have 57 minutes. Oh, yeah, we're going to stop here because I said we was going to stop here. Oh, it's getting good, y'all. It's getting better by the day. I know I say that every day because it is. Every day, y'all. Every day it is. I just love reading the words of the Most Holy. All right, y'all. Okay, so we read Numbers 22, 23, and 24, and we started here in the Legends of the Jews on page 294, and we went all the way to page 297, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with the consecration of the priests. All right, y'all, so I hope y'all enjoyed the reading today and the quick recap of today. It is February the 9th, 2021, day 73 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 742. Remember, that is without the Sabbath days and the Sabbath feast days added into the count. Why? You're right, because we rest on those days as Yahuwah has commanded us to rest on those days. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and go over here to the blessing. And the blessing is found where? Anybody remember? Everybody should know. Everybody should know by now. Yep. Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, what's the first 21 verses? Yep, the Nazirite vow. A man or woman can take the Nazirite vow. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. So that is it for today. So we are going to go ahead and get out of here. Let everybody get about their day. Be safe out there. Keep feeding your body's life, spiritually, physically, and mentally. All right, y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all bright and early in the morning. You can show up at prep time if you want to at 7:10 a.m., but we will start promptly at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. I'll see y'all in the morning.